After school programs really have a special place in my heart. I currently work for Cypher ISD and I've done so for 7 years. 6 out of those 7 I worked for community programs within the district, and I managed school programs. At 6:30 in the morning I was there smiling and welcoming kids into the building, and at 6:30 p.m. I was telling them bye, see you tomorrow. There are so many benefits to after school programs, and I was lucky enough to be able to witness that. In my 6 years, I was able to see kids go from kindergarten all the way into middle school in these programs. There are 3 ways to support local and federal after school programs. The government does have 3 grants in which they supply to school districts who qualify. One of the first grants is the entitlement grant. Now, the entitlement grant is really great because it distributes the money through programs. Now, one of these programs that I have seen in Cypher ISD is the free and reduced lunch program. This is great. It allows kids to come in, eat breakfast and lunch free or reduced due to their financial standing and their family's status. Now, the con to this is that a single child family household has to make $20,000 annually or less to qualify. Now, any family that is making $20,000 or less would most likely need to get another job just to afford to live. I mean, $20,000 a year is barely enough to pay on some mortgages. So, in the end, yes, the discretionary grant, the entitlement grant is a really great grant and supplies programs like the reduced and free lunch, but it's just such a hard requirement to meet and to survive. Now, the discretionary grant, it has its pros, but mainly a lot of cons. It pits organizations against each other to get that money and makes them fight for it, like who deserves it more. This opens up the floor to corruption and bribery for programs to get that money, because sometimes that's the only way you can do it. Now, the third grant is the block grant. The block grant is a little bit of a mix between the entitlement and the discretionary. Now, the thing about the block grant is that it's federal money going into states, and the states distribute it depending on the demographics of the area, like the poverty rate and test scores. If you have high test scores, that means you're doing great. Here's more money to do even better. But it's really up to the state on where that money goes, which ties it back to the discretionary. There are so many benefits to after-school programs and how it not only benefits the children, but it benefits the community as a whole. Because we're not just taking kids after school and making sure they stay occupied. We are making sure that they are working on getting better grades. We're making sure that they are focusing on their future. We're making sure they're being put in leadership roles to better themselves through these programs, because they're not just kids today and tomorrow, they're our future. And so I really encourage you to reach out and support these after-school programs. There are so many just in the Houston area alone that Mayor Turner supports and funds, like the Boys and Girls Club. There's Soccer to Succeed, there's after-school enrichment, and so many more. Now, you can either support them financially or support them with your time and your effort, your passion, to make sure these kids are flourishing in the community, so that way when it's their time, they can do the same thing. Thank you.